What's up, everybody in YouTube land? This is No Level Cap, and today we'll be predicting the PlayStation State of Play.
Yo, what's good, people? We're back with the No Level Cap podcast. I am your host, Sage Ashford, with my co-hosts, Devin Butts, Will Coleman, Terrence Flowers, and Rakeem Beck. This week, we're doing a little theory crafting, a little wish casting, a little predictions as we talk about what we think will be at Sony's next state of play. Now, just to be clear, this is for the next general state of play. If Sony comes out and they're like, oh, our next state of play is a deep dive in the Concord 0.5 or whatever the fuck, that's not what we talking about. Okay, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the general state of plays where they do multiple games. They try to show you what's coming for the next year, maybe year and a half, something like that. Supposedly, the next state of play is in February. If that's not the general state of play, that's, again, not the one we mean. We'll see. I am pretty excited. It's been a while. Sony hasn't really said anything. They've been pretty quiet since September, which I believe was the last state of play, which was pretty solid. You can go check out our reactions to that, but like for now, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Devin, what's your first prediction?
This is a game that I've been hyped for ever since I've seen it, but it seemed like it's never gonna come out. And you usually see it, I believe, like at PlayStation events. It's Lost Soul Aside.
Okay.
I'm hoping to see something this year. Hopefully at a state of play or something, because I would assume this game at some point is close to coming out. It's almost kind of like that. It's almost like that Black Myth type effect where we saw this game for so long, saw so much footage on it. Every year is a trailer here and there. And like, when is this game gonna come out? And it finally came out last year. So I'm just hoping that Lost Soul Aside 2025 will be the year for this game, because I was hyped for it. I mean, we saw this game. I think it started circulating after like Final Fantasy 15 came out, because it was kind of inspired by the 15, like the look of it, the style of the environments, but it's more like a Devil May Cry kind of game.
Actually, it was inspired by Versus 13.
Yeah, Versus 13.
Like 15 came out, and the dude was like, "This ain't Versus 13. That's what I wanted." And he was like, "I'm gonna make my own version of Versus 13." So,
yeah,
and it took him 13 years.
That's
it's been 7 years for real, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, no, it's closer to 10, because I think it was like 2017 or something when we first saw Lost Soul Aside.
I believe so.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
28 somewhere around there. Yeah, I think I was still in Mississippi
definitely
when I saw that, and I left Mississippi in like 2018. So yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, hopefully this game doesn't get lost aside the other games that's coming out, because I really want to play this game. It looks cool. It looks kind of like the vibe of it with the two characters that are fighting against each other that we see, like, I guess, story setup. Kind of reminds me of Chaos Legion. That's another game from Capcom that we hadn't seen in a while, but this game kind of has that style to it. So yeah, let's just hope this ain't no vaporware out. He's been working hard on it and showing like new footage and gameplay and stuff. So at some point it's got to be ready to release. So maybe we'll see the state of play. I hope, but I just want to see something.
I think that's a great pick. I feel like we saw Lost Soul Aside not too long ago.
We did.
I feel like the dev said something about it, like, "Hey, this game is still coming out," and I think that was it. I think.
No, I feel like I saw some footage, but it would have been obviously last year, because we just getting into this year. But I feel like
I almost feel like every time something comes out, it's like a shadow drop of footage. Sometimes, like the last one, I didn't even know they had footage for the last time I saw it. I'm like, oh, they got new footage. I didn't know.
Lost Soul Aside, apparently, the developer, the Young Bean, started working on it in 2014. He was inspired by Final Fantasy 15. You could tell, though, there's a lot of DNA of Versus 13, the little bits that we saw of that. The first time we got a look at it was in 2016. So, yeah, we are coming on 10 years. But, of course, he was a solo dev for quite some time. What's up, Terrence?
I was going to say, 1 month ago, PlayStation did put out a trailer. It was 50 seconds. So, I mean.
But I knew I would remember like a little bit of something for it. So, but, yeah, I do think we should see that this year. maybe a significant portion, because we've seen some gameplay of it. I seem to recall him like them showing like him fighting a boss or something like that. But yeah, it is probably time, hopefully, for that game to come out. Hopefully, like that game comes out by the end of the year. Rakeem, what's your first pick?
So my first pick is, to me, kind of obvious. Ghosts of Yote. I think we're going to see another trailer with like a more deep dive into like how the game works. That's their big heavy hitter coming out soon. I don't know if it'll be this year or the beginning of next year or early. But I feel like that's the game where like they need to push it. And they want that.
Ghosts of Yote was supposed to be, it was confirmed 2025.
They said it's summer 2025, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, we're definitely getting to the next State of Play. So I expect fully to get just a deep dive into like more, maybe a story trailer or a combat trailer, just something more about the gameplay and the structure of the game. Because I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is one of their biggest IPs from the last generation. They definitely wanted to knock out the park this time and just show like what's different about this game, what's going to be, how the combat's going to work, how the story's going to work, who the character is. And just like give the fans reassurance it's going to be a solid project once again. So I fully expect them to give a deep dive on Ghost of Yote at some point during a State of Play. Probably extended one, because that's one of their bigger games. So yeah, that's my pick.
I do think Ghost of Yote, I mean, like if for whatever reason the State of Play was delayed into March or something like that, I could easily see us not getting a general State of Play and getting like a Ghost of Yote stream. And I think one way or the other, if that game's coming out this year, you do get like a devoted State of Play that's just Ghost of Yote and nothing else. And it's like a 15 to 18 minute stream of just them showing you the world and some of the big changes that they've made. Because of course, it's one thing to release a new IP, but when you come out with a sequel, you have to make some changes to make people go, oh, okay, this is worth me coming back for. It's not just more of the same, more of what I got last time. My first prediction is Marathon. I do think it's about time for that. Like the first time we saw it was May 2023. This is, of course, Bungie, their PvP VE team.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be Extraction.
Yeah, it's an extraction shooter, PvP VE extraction shooter.
For some reason.
I don't know. Like everybody keeps trying to do that Tarkov shit, and everybody keeps failing. If you don't have something new, I don't know. Like it would be, to me, and this just shows you how complex this shit is now. To me, I would think it would be better to just put that as a mode in another game that you're already working on, as opposed to like trying to just make an extract. Because I feel like Tarkov just has that whole community on lock. The only people that have ever done anything worth talking about is like Dark and Darker, or what's the other one? Not Dark and Darker. It's the same thing.
Oh man, I can't remember the name of that game off the top of my head.
But y'all know what I'm talking about. It's the other Dark and Dark. It's the game where like the two communities, they don't like each other. They keep beefing and shit. But they basically like, it's very similar type style, but they're both just extraction games, but with fantasy. That's the only thing that's managed to break out. Like all these, oh, it's a gun. Like you've got guns and you're trying to shoot your way out and come in and get as much loot as possible. I haven't seen any of them work, which is very baffling to me. Cause like, at least with Battle Royale for a little bit, we got the chance to see them like, a bunch of them work for a little while before they started to fall off. With these, it's like barely any of them have worked, and people keep doing them. But we'll see. Maybe Bungie has the answer. Bungie typically are a pretty smart developer. I did do a little bit of research into this before the podcast. Apparently, the director, Joe Ziegler, he talked about that they're in the iteration phase and they were testing. That was as of the end of October. He had talked about how far the characters and the enemy designs and the items. I don't think that game comes out this year. But I do think that they did say that they were planning on doing a bigger reveal sometime in 2025, which could easily be towards the start of the year. And then they announced like a play test that's coming in like the summer or something like that. So I do think it's about time to get a look at that game. Terrence, what's your first one?
So my first one's going to be a softball. I think that this is quite obvious. It's going to be here. It will be at the next State of Play, and that's going to be Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Yes, sir.
It was on Sony's PlayStation slate last year to come out, and I mean, obviously it didn't, which I actually think was for the best. Because a lot of people, they were on the fence if Konami was really on the up and up, and I think they proved themselves with the Silent Hill 2 remake. Like they knocked that one out of the park and blew everyone's expectations out of the water, because everybody was like, this is probably not going to be good, and it turned out it was arguably one of the games of the year. Yeah, I think that Metal Gear Solid Delta, this is a no-brainer. I believe it was revealed at a PlayStation event, and so I anticipate it showing up and them showing more gameplay, more of what it really looks like, and giving us a solid release date. Not a release window, but a release date. And I think that game's ready. I think we're probably going to see that. Maybe it could be a summer game. I think that'd probably be the best window for it. If not, then maybe the fall. But yeah, I think it's time for that game to go ahead and show itself again. But maybe not the fall. The fall is looking like it's probably going to be stacked. So I think it probably would be better for it to come out in another window. But that's up to Konami on that one. But yeah,
I don't know how stacked the fall is going to be. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think towards the back half of the year, unless something changes, you're going to start getting a lot of wishy-washy dates. A lot of, hey, we're coming out summer 2025 or later this year, and they're not going to be specific about it because they're all trying to stay the fuck out of the way of a potential GTA 6. Mm-hmm. And so, they don't want any smoke with GTA 6, and rightfully so, because we're starting to see you can't do the things that you used to be able to do back in the PS3 days or even the early PS4 days. Like, I think gamers' purchasing habits have changed, and until they kind of get it nailed down, like, okay, what's different and why do they purchase things differently and how can we work with that? Until they get that stuff nailed down, you don't want to be anywhere near a game release like that. And even back in the day, nobody wanted to be anywhere near fucking GTA. So I do think if that game can come out in June, July, maybe even August, they probably will put a date on it. And I do think you're right that it's probably about ready. They did a preview event, I think sometime towards the end of last year in the back half. They did a preview event. People were pretty glowing about it. They were pretty much saying like, yeah, this is what you would want out of a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. So I think we are due for that game this year. And I hope we do see it at this next State of Play.
And the fact that they real quick, just the fact that they also have been showing like they've been on top of it for the marketing because they've had videos with David Hayter. In fact, they had a video where they officially revealed, because for years we never officially knew who the voice of doggone it, Eva. We never knew like her official voice, and they finally revealed who it was after all this time. I thought that was pretty cool. So Konami's been on the up and up marketing wise with it. So I think it will be a good when it comes out.
I agree with that. We'll just have to see, of course. But I'm not a Metal Gear Solid fan, but I am excited to see some of these older developers try to make a comeback, especially with some of these older properties. It's like a bit of a last ride situation, some of them, I think. But we'll see. Will, what's your first pick?
Okay, so I took time out of my day to do a little research, and I was like, what could Sony possibly talk about? And one game came to mind. I don't know if it'll be specifically theirs, but I'm praying that it kind of does show up because it's been a minute. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
I decided to look at that. I was like, let me look and see when the last time something showed up. And according to YouTube, it's been a year. And the last piece of information I seen was there was gonna be a beta somewhere. And I'm just like, if there's gonna be a beta for this game, it would be really nice if y'all kind of showed that this year. It would be, but I hadn't seen nothing about it because the most info I've seen is still an old trailer.
Was that confirmed for 2025?
I don't think it was.
I thought there was I might be thinking of a different game, but I thought that trailer was one of those where it was like, hey, we're going to show you a trailer. It's going to look really cool. And then it's not coming out next year, but the year after that. I think it was one of those, but I forget.
Okay, because I can't remember.
Because that was that like Jeff show, if I remember right, the first time it was revealed.
Yeah.
It was at one of those Jeff shows, either Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards, but I forget which one.
Yeah, I think it was one of those Jeff shows. But the more I kept looking at the information for it, I kept seeing stuff like, oh, it's coming out in 2024. I'm like, well, y'all done missed the boat on that. So I need y'all to kind of show me if y'all going to be here. Because if it's 2026, tell me something. If it's this year, tell me something. Because I can't have the news cycle keep repeating of, oh, there's a beta coming out. There's a beta coming.
Man,
you need
I
to show
totally forgot about this game.
Well, this could get canceled if you keep hearing about a potential beta coming, like me and this damn Transformers game.
Yeah,
I thought that looked okay. I would have played it, but
I am so sorry.
I know.
I expected
I'm sorry, bro.
When I saw the gameplay, I was like, oh, I play this. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
They said, no, you won't. because we ain't putting that bitch out.
Fair enough.
Turn it off. You'll never
How is
get it.
Transformers one of the strongest IPs that constantly gets animation, movies, animated movies, comics, and it's like games? We can't figure it out.
They had 2 good games on the PS360 during the PS360 era, and then
They
that was
did.
it. They were
They
like,
were really
"Yep,
good.
that's the best we could do for you." And
And,
I,
they got, and that studio makes Call of Duty maps and support
And
stuff.
one of
now.
them you can't even buy anymore.
I was sure about to
Yep.
say, I'm like, I'm not even sure whether you can buy them both right now. They kind of go back and forth on like, oh yeah, you can buy them. Oh wait, you can't buy them. I'm like, man, just fucking.
I thought they moved them both to modern consoles like a couple years ago. Did something happen?
Well, I guess the one that I'm referring to was done by Platinum, I think.
You talking about Devastation?
Oh,
Yeah, Devastation. Yeah, I'm
the
talking about
Platinum
Devastation.
game.
Yeah.
No, we're
Oh,
talking about.
Devastation got delisted.
Yeah, I know
The
the ones
Fall
you're
of
talking. I know the
Cybertron
ones
and
you all are
Cybertron.
talking about, but I was just saying, yeah, one of those games you can't even buy anymore.
Yeah.
Transformers.
That's wild.
So stupid.
Yeah,
Just put them up
you-
on something and just.
You got to go out your way to find Devastation. Some people still got their disc about, so you have to buy them off of people.
It's like TikTok. I still got it. I ain't getting rid of it.
If you still got it, I mean, you can have it, but otherwise, you just hold. Just like TikTok. Rakeem, what's your first, your second pick?
All right, so my second pick. All right, bro, come on now. Let's get this Wolverine out, bro. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Let's go, bro. I've been waiting to see this Wolverine for a minute. I played Spider-Man 2, loved it. Spider-Man 1, loved
I've
it.
seen
Never really
Wolverine.
played Miles Morales, unfortunately. But God dog, at this point, it's time. Like, we get to the point now where it's taking so long. We probably gonna see Wolverine in the MCU again. Well, we did, actually, now I think about it. Wolverine came out of retirement and came back before the game came out. So yeah, it's time to bring old Wolvie back. I'd like to see something from the studio. I'm pretty sure it should be far along enough now where we get at least a demonstration.
This game was supposed to
Something.
be. The only thing that I'm up in the air about with Wolverine is that Wolverine was supposed to is technically like they in the you know the
Mhm.
not
The
you know
thing.
y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know
The
what I'm talking
thing.
about.
Mhm.
There was a timeline for it that said 2026. There was another
Okay.
timeline that said 2025, but more likely that was just an earlier timeline, and like the revised one is the one with all the later dates. The only thing I would say is I do think we see Wolverine before the end of the year,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's at this state of play.
Or at like the Game Awards or some other.
Well, more
event,
like
Summer
they-
Games
they-
Fest.
Yeah, like that one. I don't know if we'll see it in February, but I know we'll see it before the year's out, because I mean, like, if you got it coming out in 2026, you got to start, like Keem said, it's time to show some gameplay.
Yeah.
Straight like that. Like it's time. Like it's been the only thing we've seen, unless you was looking at some shit you shouldn't have been looking at. The only thing we've seen is like just that one bit of like a destroyed bar, and then like him with the claws
The
coming out, and then
blades.
that was it. It's like, all right, now what? So let's get to
Man,
the now what.
And I feel like it would do so well right now because people are like eating up character action games.
Absolutely.
Wolverine.
I mean, Wolverine's
will
hot
make
in Marvel Rivals,
money.
so
Oh yeah.
Money.
Yeah. Big tank buster. Yeah.
I do have a question though. Did Spider-Man 2 ever get DLC?
No.
No.
it
And in
didn't.
fact, I like there was a thing like in that stuff that you shouldn't have been looking at. There was like Mitch's, like there was clearly plans of DLC at one point.
That sure was.
There was in fact a plan to do like a Venom game and some other stuff. I think all that shit got scrapped for one reason or another. I don't know if they just decided to just throw all their their resources behind Wolverine, or if they're working on Spider-Man 3 and Wolverine. But whatever it is, they were like, all right, we ain't got time for this. We finna go move on. And all that stuff got scrapped, which sucks because
I would have played the Venom spinoff. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm not as hyped for Venom, but I would have played it. I would have wanted the DLC. I kind of liked City Never Sleeps. I played a good chunk of that. But yeah, there's no plan. Like the DLC stuff is pretty much any hopes of DLC for a Sony game is done the second you see it pop up on PC. Because on PC they just give you the complete edition, and the Spider-Man 2 PC version comes out in 5 days. So.
Oh dang.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird right now. Like I feel like some IPs, like Ubisoft, always has like a crap load of expansions.
Yep.
But like it feels like lately, it might be because of maybe the ongoing issue of development costs and putting those resources towards things when they need to work on other projects is kind of starting to kill that. But I felt like back in the day, everything got DLC or an expansion. Now that's kind of curtailing back on that to a degree.
Yeah.
Yep. Terrence, what's your second pick, man?
I might step on some toes with this one because I'm going to give a little background on it. As we all know, Capcom usually has maybe 2 or 3 big games that they put out a year. And for the past couple of years, they've had that one very kooky game that comes out that's not as big as the other 2. This year we have Monster,
Exo Primal and
Kunitsugami, yeah, exactly, stuff like that. This year we know we have Monster Hunter Wilds that comes out next month. More than likely, there's some other game that I'm not going to get into because it may be one of you all's picks, so I'm not going to take it away from you. But the game that I think they're going to have is the kooky game this year, and this is my Hail Mary. I still think that Pragmata is coming. The fact that they have not said that game has been, the fact that they never announced it is just flat out canceled, or that, they're just not going forward with it. I think it's still cooking. And I think that it's been long enough that they figured out maybe whatever it is that went wrong with it. And maybe it's time for them to reintroduce it. If it's going to happen, I think it's now or never. If it doesn't come out this year, or if we don't hear anything about it this year, then yeah, it's been canceled without it being officially declared canceled. I'll put it that way. But I think from what they showed us, I think there's too much potential there to just throw it all away.
Bless you.
Yeah, bless you indeed. No,
you're all good.
You're good. Yeah, but I just think that there's too much potential there to just scrap. Is either going to continue to be the concept that it was, and yeah, whatever they couldn't figure out, they eventually did, or is going to be revamped in some way, maybe renamed. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's time. And usually Capcom is pretty good about showing up at Sony events. Usually if it's not earlier in the year, it's usually the middle one, usually the one that's May or June. Because previously, I think that's when RE4 and other titles have shown up. But yeah, I don't think Pragmata is dead. I think that it's still alive. And I think that, along with Monster Hunter Wilds, I know they have the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 coming out, but I don't count that because that's just a re-release of a bunch of games. Yeah, it's a collection.
I can't wait though.
Yeah, I can't wait as well. And then they have another game that is pretty safe to assume it's probably going to drop this year, or at least we get a trailer for it. But yeah, I think Pragmata is still alive, so that's going to be my Hail Mary for this one.
I think that's a great pick.
Extremely.
We haven't seen that in a while. I forgot it existed. When I drew up my list of games, that never even entered my mind. I thought about Capcom, but I didn't think about that game in particular. Because we've only seen so little from it. We saw one trailer and then the apology trailer, if you want to count that. Which I guess I do.
Holding up a sign. Sorry.
Don't have a holding up a sign this time saying we're ready.
I think you might get something similar to that, Will, because it just makes sense. I don't know if that game comes out this year, but I could easily see us seeing that game this year, because you gotta have that game, otherwise it just vanished into the ether, so it just wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
Will, what's your second pick?
All right, so for my second pick, I'm gonna go with something way off to the side because I don't think we got a date on this yet. But it's also for the weeb in me. Let's see if they pull up with Eden Zero. I said, I know that's way out there, but like I said,
not really, because I feel like we saw that not too long ago.
I mean, yeah, we did, but I feel like in the case of a game like that, especially when it comes to anime-styled RPGs, those usually don't have super duper long times to be made, and they don't necessarily have this big gap of time in them. We're making this game, we're gonna show you this much, and then bam, we don't see nothing for ever, and then they come up again. I feel like those show you something once, and then months later something does come up because they've gotten pretty far along in the game anyways, because they have everything already kind of there. That's just my opinion of them.
I'm gonna throw a wrench into your plan.
Show me, because I can mention another one.
This game definitely showed up. No, it's too late. You have to say that for your third one.
Yeah, sure.
But no, I looked it up. The last time we saw this game was 3 months ago, and the reason why I'm throwing a wrench into your plans is because the last place that we saw it was at an Xbox partner preview. And so they may have the marketing rights to that for whatever money that would make Xbox. But like they may have the marketing rights for that. And so like I don't know that we see it there, but I do feel like this game has been in development for 4 years and some change. Because like they showed it off literally back in 2021, and we haven't seen it since. Nope. 2020? Christ. Yeah.
Was it that long?
Yes. I'm looking at the original Game Project teaser trailer. September 2020.
Wow.
It's time. It's past time.
Well,
Like the game. First off, the game, like the footage that we saw, it didn't even look all that great. So I mean, like, what you been doing for 5 years?
Sitting on it.
Yeah, sitting on it. I'm like, okay.
Trying to find that giant lady like they did in the anime.
You know what's wild? Actually, now that you mention it, this game has taken so long. Eden Zero's manga is over with.
That's crazy.
Like they finished. The anime's on season 2. The manga's finished. Like technically, they could put the whole story in there if they wanted to. I don't think they will, but I think you could. I mean, like you could put it in two games if you want it. What's up, Terrence?
That's what they're waiting on.
I mean, they got a good stopping point.
That's
And if you just put out 2 games, you probably get the whole story in there. So I don't know. But yeah, I do think that was a good pick. Other than that, though, just the Xbox thing.
I mean, I get that, but I feel like with Xbox, it ain't gonna hit on Xbox like it would on PlayStation. That's just me though, looking at demographics, thinking
it's
about
not. But I mean, like Xbox has been trying their hardest to get like a JRPG audience over to the Xbox, which I think is a good idea. You got to try something.
They try and get all RPGs over the Xbox. To be honest,
they really are.
They showed off Expedition 33. So
yeah, they showed that off. They was like, yeah, we need y'all to come over here and play an RPG. Don't pick up a gun, pick up a wand.
Pick up a wand. Devin, what's your second pick?
So this game, I'm pretty sure we saw this like the last 2 years. I be the 2023, I think it was Game Awards, and then last year at a State of Play, and that's Judas. So I'm thinking that we should probably see it again.
Wow, I forgot about Judas.
Yeah, I mean it's developers of BioShock people is kind of like one of those things. Like BioShock was kind of a classic for people, and people waiting to see like what that studio is going to do next. So looks pretty interesting. I want to see more on it. But yeah, like I said, I think we've seen it the last 2 years. So if they keep the ball rolling, it will only make sense we see it this year again in 2025, and more than likely a State of Play. So I'm thinking that's probably one of my safest bets on the ones I'm choosing. There's some other safer ones, but I think that one's probably a shoe-in, hopefully.
So I'm looking at it, and Judas, the last time we saw it, January 31st, 2024, which would have been at a State of Play, just packed at the end of January. I think I remember that might have been the one where the one insider was like, it's coming, like you're getting this in January, and people just didn't believe him until it came out the literal last day. But yeah, Judas is one of those ones that I thought we would have seen by now. I was under the impression that it was coming out in 2025, but I mean, like we haven't heard any dates. So if we do see it again and there is no date, I'm just gonna assume that game is further off than I thought it was. But I feel like I saw a trailer that said 2025 at the end. I don't know.
I type it in on Google, it just says March 2025.
That's just a quarter, so I don't know that I trust that. But yeah, I do feel like that game is due to be seen again. We have seen it multiple times, and each time there's a little bit more into it. So hopefully that would definitely shake this year up. What is my second pick? Because Keem took Wolverine. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, you took Marathon for me, so I think it's fair.
It's fair enough. We did.
Marathon.
Somebody who took Ghost of Yote. Oh, wow.
That was me.
You all just trading blows at this point.
Apparently, I didn't even know I was in a fight. So I think Marvel 1943: Rise of Hydra.
Oh yeah.
I think it's time to see that game again. Because we've never seen it show up at an official games conference. The first time it was at some like CES or something like that. Some place where like you normally wouldn't get a brand new video game reveal, and yet they were like, surprise, here's a brand new video game reveal. So I think it's time. I think Sony has a relationship with Amy Hennig. I hope that they didn't destroy based on how the Naughty Dog stuff played out. So we will see. I do. That game was supposedly 2025. That's what they said, but you know how that kind of stuff can go. It might have slipped dates, But if it hasn't, we do need to see it again and soon, and ideally some kind of actual gameplay. Because like the first time we saw it, it was just like cutscene, CGI. Like you could tell it was in-engine stuff, but even still, it's like, all right, man, I need to see how these characters move, how they fight, what you're going to do in this game. Of course, it's going to be like a Uncharted, but with Marvel superheroes. But I need to see how that plays out specifically. I need to see how you try to sell me on playing as two normal people when the other two people are Black Panther and Captain America. So it's like, oh yeah, you go play a dude with a gun. You go play a member of the Dora Milaje, and it's like, can I just be more Black Panther and Cap? Like, can I just do that?
That would make way more sense to me.
I don't know.
Those are the characters that are over, as they say.
That is wrestling terms, but yeah, that's correct. That's exactly what it is. Like, those are the popular characters. Those are the characters that people are wanting to play the most. So I don't know why they didn't just make it about that, but I guess they'll explain that. Yeah, I do feel like we're due to see that. I don't know if it's going to be at this showcase, but we will see that game before the end of the year. Even if the date slipped, you'll see that game between probably either at this State of Play or at Jeff's showcase in summer. So, Devin, round 3, final round. What's your last pick?
Okay, so this is one we saw a while back, and I was super interested in this game, and we hadn't seen nothing on this. And at this point, I don't know. And that's a Little Devil Inside.
Oh,
that game went dark. It went back inside because we hadn't seen it.
So the last time I remember seeing this game, it was at a showcase that also had Star Ocean 6.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how far back we're talking.
That game's
What
2.5 years old.
What is this
Yes.
game?
I'm gonna let
kind
Devin.
of similar to
go
something
ahead.
like Dreams, because it's like it was a bunch of different stuff. You had like almost kind of had like a Little Big Planet type vibe, but it was like you had like this little adventure. You doing like some medieval stuff. It's like you taking place in like different areas, different situations. It looked interesting. But I saw that game and I was like, it looks dope. And I guess I hadn't even realized it's been that long, but I'm like, man, like, are y'all gonna show anything on this Sony? Like, is the game dead? Like, I don't know. It's been a while.
It's funny because there's a video on YouTube that I just saw that says, "What's up with Little Devil Inside?" Like, it's been 10 years. They have as a thumbnail.
Yeah, I just seen that thumbnail. I'm like, bruh, ain't no way.
No, I mean it's a great pull. To answer Keem's question, yeah, that game's been out like 2.5 years, and a State of Play. It was at the October 2021 State of Play,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember that it was also the State of Play where I was like, oh, cool, Star Ocean. Which I mean, like, I don't know how good that game wound up being. But it's just like wild that they just have said nothing about this game. And it goes to show you, because this is clearly not like some super AAA type game. And still, it's been 3 years since we last saw it.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it had like that vibe, kind of like Dreams, Little Big Planet, doing a lot of different stuff. But I don't know if they just thought maybe it wasn't worth an investment. I don't know. You know,
That's a great pull, by the way, because as soon as you said Dreams, I was like, oh yeah, it does look like it was built in Dreams. Rakeem, your third and final pick.
All right. This is why I'm surprised no one has said yet. Maybe they know more than I do. For my final pick, I'm going to choose Death Stranding 2.
Yeah.
I think it's been enough time for at least another trailer. It's just one of those games that always has, even if it isn't coming out, it's going to have a big trailer at some point, like every year. Kojima just likes the pomp and circumstance and likes kind of putting out little details. It's just his thing. He likes showing a little bit of what's going on, but not telling you everything. I remember the marketing for the first Death Stranding. Nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Nobody knew what the game was. It still sold. I don't know how he does it. He's like, he going against everything you think about you're supposed to do in marketing. And it just works because of his name alone almost.
Kojima, baby.
It's Kojima, baby. So yeah, I expect to see more babies, more monsters, more guitars, some samurais, some lasers coming out butt cheeks, some parachutes with rotten eggs in them, some robots that can tell time for you and cook your breakfast, and it'll have like an open world sandbox meal delivery mode. Some combos and some DMC,
Damn,
was all this
No, but some of that was in the trailer for the second game. So
when you watch the trailer, like you don't know what the hell the game is until they come together and it makes
some
sense.
puppets and shit. It was
Some
there's
puppets,
a lot going on.
You know, so yeah, Death Stranding. I'm looking forward just to see the trailer. I don't even think we're gonna get a release date. We might get a window.
That game's scheduled for 2025. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is one of the games Sony has on their website as coming this year, so it should.
Okay, well, if it does come this year, we'll definitely probably see it at a state of play. And I'm just hoping to see whatever nonsense Kojima got cooked up for this trailer. I know it's gonna be fun.
This is actually one of the safer picks that somebody could have picked.
Yeah, definitely. I had it on my list. Yeah.
I had it. Actually, I didn't have it. I thought somebody else would pick it because
that's why I said I was surprised no one picked it already.
Yeah, I mean, like that might be why we wait till the third round. But yeah, it is a very safe pick, very smart pick. If it's 2025, I guarantee you see it two more times before it comes out. Probably at the upcoming general state of play, and then you probably get a deep dive into it because it is one of the bigger games that Sony's going to have for the year. So yeah, I think. There was a lot of weird shit in the first game, and the second, like the trailer for the second game was like, hey, we getting even weirder. Some dude in an Iron Man costume and like the DMC guitar and all that shit. I was like, what the fuck? And some puppets. I said, what the fuck going on in this game? Yeah. And like, it's like Kojima unhinged. And it worked the first time, and it seems like it's going to be even better the second time. So well, I'm excited to see where that goes. I just want to see the trailer. What's going on, Terrence?
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people, I think this one will be much better because Kojima usually does better on his second game than he does his first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even more unleashed.
Even more unleashed.
I got a lot of third picks I could pick, but I could go with the safe pick.
You can Hail Mary, man. It's fun. It's podcasting, baby.
It is podcasting. We are just out here shooting the shit.
Just men with mics, which is supposedly a bad thing. Yeah.
Not on this podcast. You know?
Not on this.
That's the whole point of the no bullshit.
I was gonna say that's where none of the bullshit comes into play.
That's exactly where it comes into play. So do I go JRPG?
Let's go. I want more.
Step. Walk.
Nah, go west, young man.
I'm a cheat. I'm a cheat a little bit. You are going to get you are going to see a major Square game. Yeah. And the only reason I'm unsure about this is whether it's going to be here or at the time around the Summer Game Fest. That's the only bit of unsureness, I think. But like, you're going to get one of two games from Square this year. You're going to see one of two games this year, either Kingdom Hearts 4 or Dragon Quest 12.
Oh yeah,
they were on my list. The only reason I didn't bring them up earlier is because of Square literally talking about going away from exclusivity stuff. That's the only reason I bring them up.
Yeah, that's the big reason I just did not touch a Square game, bro. Because I'm like, they talking about moving away from it. I'm sure they'll be like, hey, it's gonna be here. You gonna see it here. But,
yeah, so see, that's the thing. Like, even though they are moving away from doing exclusives, I don't think they're moving away from like
Xbox.
That. And then also, I think like you can easily just do a marketing deal with them where it's not an exclusive for any length of time, but we will be marketing with you. And so like people will associate it with PlayStation. And so you'll get, a trailer from either Kingdom Hearts 4 or Dragon Quest 12 where it's like, hey, this is the trailer. And at the end of it, on Sony's thing, it'll just show PlayStation. And if you go look it up on Square's site, it'll show all the other platforms that it's coming to. I think it's time. I don't think you'll get either of those games this year because I think even Square said they were kind of pulling back a little bit this year and didn't expect to have any major video games come out this year. Now, who knows? They may throw us a curveball. They may be like, psych, you thought. But I think that was at like an investor meeting, so I don't think they can Charlie Clips their way out of putting out a big game this year. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 4, the last time we saw it was like 4 years ago. I think 2021 or 2020, they just randomly released a trailer at like 3 a.m. It was like for Japan. And then, of course, we live in a world where everything's global. So as soon as it came out, the West saw it as well. And everybody was excited. Dragon Quest 12, the only reason why I'm not as sure about that one is because it's such a important IP to Japan, or in Japan, rather. It's so important over there. And there's such it's such a cultural touchstone over there that it's possible that they would want to save the reveal for Japan first. But they have shown that game already. Like they well, not shown it, but like they did tease it. They did talk about it. They did a Dragon Quest stream. And what's crazy is we're getting close to like a 5-year anniversary of that, or like another, because I think that was an anniversary stream. And I think we're getting close to another Dragon Quest anniversary. And so maybe it's there. What's up?
You're right. It was a bit of an anniversary stream because when they brought up Dragon Quest 12, they had also talked about Dragon Quest 10, which is a game that didn't come across the way.
Right.
You're right.
Was that the same one where they talked about the Dragon Quest 10 like no MMO game they did?
Yeah, they had the offline version of it. Mm-hmm. And to add on to his point about it being such a big thing in Japan, when the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake came out at one of the stores, their big cameras, they posted pictures of the lines like from like 30 years ago outside where people were lined up. And they posted pictures of that like when the original released and was seen that they had a big line too. So they was like, hey, when this game came out back then, it was just as big back then too. So Dragon Quest in Japan go hand in hand.
While you were talking about it, I looked it up real quick. The last trailer was around late May 2021. So that's like 4 years ago now. And so, like, I don't know. Maybe they still don't know when they're going to finish that game up. I would hope that it's not on a 7-year development cycle. I would hope Dragon Quest, we could get that out within 4 to 5 years. And so, like, we're looking at maybe a 2026 release date. But if that's the case, then we should be seeing it sometime this year. And so, like, I could see it being that, or I could see it being Kingdom Hearts. I see a world in which you get both of those games next year, which would be a huge year for Square.
That'd be huge.
Wouldn't it, though? And I mean, like, they need it. And could you imagine if they had a quiet 2025, like just Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remake that's coming out this year?
Yeah.
Actually, this is a little spoiler into like a podcast that we'll do later in the year, probably next month. I see a world in which maybe one of the not big games that they have is Final Fantasy 9. And that gets announced at the Nintendo Switch Direct in April.
The worst kept secret.
Another one of the worst kept secrets. I feel like that's possible. Like the reason why we haven't seen Final Fantasy 9 is that it's going to be on the Switch 2.
That makes sense.
I don't think it's going to launch with Switch 2, but I do think it's possible for it to be a launch year game. And that could be the start of a Square comeback. Like Kingdom Hearts 4 next year, Dragon Quest 12 next year, Final Fantasy 7. Regenesis, Reunion, whatever the fuck they call it in 2027.
They just announced that they're done with the story, I believe. They finished the story.
Yeah. They're 9 months into development on that.
Man, they didn't play.
No, they're not fucking around. I think they're going to use
money.
Some of the
we need money.
They'll probably use some of the assets
for their lives.
Remake.
They should.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll probably get that and like 2027, I think they're going to stay on target for that because I think that's like the 30th anniversary for that. Am I right?
That would make sense. Yeah, because
2027 makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you're right. 98.
30th anniversary.
Came out in like 2000.
You said what now?
I said 7 came out in 97, 8 came out in 98, and then Final Fantasy 9 came out in
2000.
Late 99, like 2000.
Yeah.
See, this is the 25th. This 25th, 25 years. Makes sense.
So yeah, it's about that time, and so I could easily see them getting just starting the ball rolling with like this year, just showing off some games and then building up the hype for next year. I hope that's what we get. All right, Terrence, it's up to you, man. What's your third and final pick?
So this is another one that I think is kind of a softball, just because immediately when I was looking up like games that come out in 2025, what I always do is, what does Sony say? And, go to Sony's website and they'll show you like, here's what we think is coming out in 2025. And this was one of those games. And also when I was looking into the history of it, it's technically, I guess, out in China right now in some capacity, like it came out last month. And I think now it's time for it to come out stateside, and that's where winds meet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know what capacity it is out in China. I don't know if it's the full thing or if it's like a part of it. Do any of you know?
No, it's just out, but it's probably, I don't know if it's a full game or if it's like Genshin Impact where they like plan on adding more content to it. Yeah. I think it's just a full game, and I think they just do theirs differently.
Maybe so.
Where it's just a free-to-play game over there. Yeah. And then over here, it'll just come out as a box launch, premium $60, $70 type thing.
Yeah, because I did see that it was on mobile too, which is like, how does this game work on mobile? Which maybe you're right. Maybe it is like a Genshin Impact version in some capacity. I
You
don't
get
know.
30 minutes for it burn your fucking phone up. That's
yeah,
what happens.
for real. But yeah, I think this is one that, Sony had at one of their state of plays in the past, or one of their showcases, whatever. And so I think it's a high chance that it'll show up at this state of play, just because since it's already out in China, that should be easy enough to just go ahead and say, hey, it's coming such and such time this year, get ready for it. Yeah, so I think that it should be there, and they should also give a release date with it. There shouldn't be anything mysterious about it, like, coming this window 2025 or whatever. I think they should pretty much know at this point, like, hey, we're done with the game. It's going to come out at this time. So yeah, I think that's a solid pick. I think, if I do say so myself.
That's one. A little back patent, but I mean, I'm actually with you. That's 100% a great pick. I do think this is where, like, I've been wondering. I'm like, where is that game getting announced? Because it was such a big deal. And now that you mention it, yeah, it was at a Sony showcase at one point. So it's definitely going to be at a state of play. And I agree with you. If the full game is out in China, then what should be is, like, all they have left is localization, dubbing, of course, translating the script and all of that. And, like, people, Genshin, I mean, like, they've shown multiple times they're willing to spend the money to brute force that and get the translation done quickly. And so, like, I could easily see that getting a date. It may not be soon. It may be like May or something, like, especially if I know it's free to play in China. If it costs money over here, then I can see that being like a summer game. They may hit you with like a July 25th or something like that, like surprise. But other than that, yeah, absolutely. I would be, in fact, that's such a good pick that I would be low-key kind of be shocked if it wasn't there. And I'll be pissed if it's not there. And then, like, 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, yeah, it's coming out on this day. I'll be like, you could have just been at the Sony show. Like, what the fuck?
So
Fair enough.
All right, Will, what you got for us, man?
all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just keep it simple with this one, because I think this is just gonna be like that short reminder for a general thing, especially if it comes to February. Frag Punk, I think that's gonna be like that little general reminder game that they're picking up. Just like, hey, it's coming out soon, so be looking for it. Because I looked it up, and they had a trailer for a quote unquote Pioneer bundle. I guess for people to buy that, first dibs buy, get special weapons and attachments and this, that, and the sort. I was just like, oh, okay, so y'all just having to throw this out. I think y'all gonna show up at this state of play, because y'all want to remind people that this is happening. 5-on-5, first-person shooter. And I say they got the little special rules where I think if you go to sudden death, everybody go to like special 1v1 zone so they can see who was carrying their weight.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, I seen the footage, and I was like, that is such an interesting way to point out who the weak link on the team is.
It's like COD Battle Royale with when you die and go to the gulag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. So I think that's the next thing that's gonna pop up at the state of play is Frag Punk. Like, it has a date, it's March 6th, but if we're gonna have us a general state of play, I like how we keep putting emphasis on that general state of play in February, then I think Frag Punk shows up to be like, hey, it's coming out next month, be looking for it, get this Pioneer bundle as well, and they may even add something extra, like probably a PlayStation style color for something, so I expect that to kind of be there.
Okay. I like this choice. We'll of course be able to see within a very short period of time, less than 6 weeks from now. We will probably, because I imagine this is probably going to come out like in the middle of, Super Bowl is like February 9th. So you probably want to come out after that. Could be the week after the Super Bowl that they just like, hey, here's just in time for Valentine's Day, like on the 12th or some shit like that. We'll see. So I'm looking forward to it, and whenever they do come out with it, we'll of course react to it, come back, y'all see us what we got right, what we got wrong. But for now, that's gonna wrap this episode up. If you liked it, hit what the deal is. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.